The sky turned dark over New York City. It wasn't a storm or an eclipse. Huge alien ships blocked the sun. People on the streets stopped and looked up. Cars honked. Phones buzzed with alerts. The world held its breath. In the UN building, world leaders gathered in a rush. They had never seen anything like this before. Screens showed the same scene in London, Tokyo, and other big cities. The alien ships were everywhere. President Maria Lopes of the U.S. spoke first. "What do we know?" she asked, her voice shaky but strong. General Chen of China answered, "Not much. They appeared an hour ago. No warning, no message, just there." Suddenly, all screens in the room flickered. A face appeared. It wasn't human. The alien had blue skin, big black eyes, and no hair. It spoke in a deep, rumbling voice. "People of Earth," it said, "I am Commander Zixnar of the Galactic Alliance. We have come to test your world. Surrender now, or face our ultimate weapon." The room exploded with noise. Some leaders shouted to fight back. Others wanted to give up right away. It was chaos. In the corner, Dr. Sarah Chen watched quietly. She was a diplomat, known for solving tough problems. Sarah raised her hand. The room fell silent. "We should talk to them," she said simply. "Find out more before we decide." President Lopes nodded. "Dr. Chen, you're our best diplomat. Can you speak to them?" Sarah took a deep breath and stepped forward. She looked at the alien face on the screen. "Commander Zixnar," she said calmly, "we hear you, but we need to understand. Why have you come? What do you want from us?" The alien's big eyes blinked. He seemed surprised by her calm tone. "We seek worthy planets to join our alliance," he said. "But first, you must prove your strength." Outside, people screamed as smaller ships left the big ones. They flew down to hover over major cities. In New York, one stopped right above Central Park. Its shadow covered the green space like a dark blanket. Back in the UN, military leaders pushed for action. "We should strike first," General Chen said. "Show them our power." But Sarah shook her head. "No," she said firmly. "That's what they expect. We need to surprise them." She turned back to the screen. "Commander," she said, "you speak of tests and weapons. But true strength isn't always about fighting. Would you be open to a different kind of challenge?" Zixnar tilted his head. He looked curious now. "What do you propose, human?" Sarah thought fast. She remembered something from Earth's history, something that showed humanity's unique bond with another species, a bond that aliens might not understand. "A contest," she said. "Your ultimate weapon against our champion, but not in battle. In a test of companionship." The room went quiet. Everyone looked confused. Even Zixnar seemed puzzled. "Companionship?" he asked. "Explain." Sarah smiled. "Let us show you. Give us time to choose our champion. Then we'll face your weapon. But the winner won't be the one who fights best. It'll be the one who shows the greatest capacity for friendship." Zixnar was silent for a long moment. The whole world seemed to hold its breath. Finally, he spoke. "Intriguing," he said. "You have one Earth rotation to prepare. Choose your champion wisely." The screen went dark. The room burst into talk again. Many thought Sarah was crazy, but President Lopes raised her hand for quiet. "Dr. Chen," she said, "I hope you know what you're doing. The fate of our world may depend on it." Sarah nodded. She looked out the window at the alien ship hovering over the city. "Trust me," she said softly. "Humanity has a secret weapon, and it's time to unleash it." As the sun set behind the alien ships, the world waited. No one knew what the next day would bring. But in living rooms and parks across the planet, millions of people hugged their dogs a little tighter that night. Something told them that man's best friend might soon become humanity's greatest hope. The world woke up to a new reality. Alien ships still hung in the sky like dark clouds. People walked to work, but their eyes kept moving up. Everyone wondered what would happen next. In a secret underground room, world leaders gathered again. They had less than a day to find Earth's champion. The air was thick with worry. Dr. Sarah Chen stood at the front of the room. She looked tired but determined. "We need to think differently," she said. "The aliens expect us to choose a warrior. But that's not our strength." General Chen frowned. "Then what is our strength, Dr. Chen?" he asked. "How can we beat their ultimate weapon without fighting?" Sarah smiled. "With love," she said simply. The room burst into confused chatter. President Lopes raised her hand for quiet. "Explain, Dr. Chen," she said. Sarah nodded. She pressed a button, and a big screen lit up. It showed pictures of people with their pets. Dogs, cats, even some unusual animals like parrots and lizards. "This is humanity's secret weapon," Sarah said. "Our ability to form deep bonds with other species. The aliens don't understand this. They see animals as tools or threats. We see them as family." The room was silent. Some leaders looked doubtful. Others seemed interested. "So what do you suggest?" President Lopes asked. Sarah took a deep breath. "We find someone who represents this bond best. Not a soldier, not a scientist. Someone whose connection with an animal is so strong, it can touch even an alien heart." For the next few hours, they searched. They looked at animal trainers, veterinarians, and even kids who had saved their pets from danger. But nothing felt quite right. Then, a young Abe burst into the room. "I found someone," she said excitedly. She handed Sarah a tablet. Sarah looked at the screen. Her eyes widened. "This is it," she whispered. Then louder, "This is our champion." The big screen changed. It showed a man in his 30s. He had kind eyes and a gentle smile. Next to him sat a beautiful German shepherd dog. "This is Mike Thompson," Sarah explained. "He's a dog trainer from a small town in Kansas. But he's not just any trainer. Mike works with rescue dogs, especially those that have been abused or abandoned." The screen showed videos of Mike working with scared dogs. With patience and kindness, he helped them trust again. The last video showed the German shepherd next to him, wagging its tail happily. "This is Max," Sarah said. "Mike found him in a junkyard 2 years ago. Max was so afraid of people, no one could get near him. But Mike spent weeks just sitting nearby, talking softly. Eventually, Max came to him. Now, they're inseparable." The room was quiet. Even the doubtful leaders looked moved. "But how can this beat the alien weapon?" someone finally asked. Sarah smiled. "The aliens expect a fight. They won't understand this. Mike and Max will show them something they've never seen before. True companionship. It's a bond that goes beyond species, beyond words. It's powerful enough to change hearts." President Lopes stood up. "It's risky," she said, "but I think it's our best chance. Does anyone object?" No one spoke. The decision was made. "Bring them here," the president ordered. "And someone tell Commander Zixnar we're ready for the challenge." As people rushed to follow orders, Sarah looked at the screen again. Mike and Max smiled back, unaware that the fate of the world now rested on their shoulders. Outside, the alien ships seemed to loom closer. In homes across the planet, people hugged their pets, feeling a new sense of hope. Maybe, just maybe, the love between a man and his dog could save the world. In his ship, Commander Zixnar received the message. Earth was ready. He smiled, thinking of the fearsome beast waiting in the hold. Little did he know, he was about to witness a power greater than any weapon he could imagine. The stage was set. The challenge would begin soon. And the whole universe would watch as humanity unleashed its true beast, the unbreakable bond of love and loyalty. Mike Thompson was confused. 1 minute, he was training dogs in Kansas. The next, he was on a secret flight to New York. Max, his loyal German shepherd, sat by his feet, tail wagging. "What's going on?" Mike asked the serious-looking woman next to him. Dr. Sarah Chen smiled. Mr. Thompson, you're about to save the world. Mike laughed, thinking it was a joke. But Sarah didn't laugh back. The plane landed at a hidden airfield. Black cars waited for them. As they drove, Sarah explained about the aliens, the challenge, and why Mike and Max were chosen. Mike's eyes got wider and wider. But I'm just a dog trainer, he said. Sarah nodded. Exactly. That's what makes you perfect. They arrived at a huge underground facility. People in suits and uniforms rushed around. Everyone looked stressed. But when Mike and Max walked in, the room went quiet. General Chen approached, frowning. This is our champion, a man and his pet. Max growled softly. Mike put a hand on his head, calming him instantly. This is our best hope, Sarah said firmly. President Lopes stepped forward. Mr. Thompson, we know this is a lot to take in, but we need your help. Will you do it? Mike looked at Max, then back at the president. He took a deep breath and nodded. We'll do our best, ma'am. The next few hours were a whirlwind. Scientists ran tests on Mike and Max. Military experts tried to give Mike combat tips. But Mike just shook his head. That's not how we work, he said softly. He turned to Sarah. Can I have some space to train with Max? Our way. Sarah nodded, clearing the room. Only she and a few others stayed to watch. Mike sat on the floor. Max sat in front of him, alert and ready. Mike pulled out a tennis ball and a bag of treats. General Chen groaned. This is ridiculous. How can this possibly help? Sarah hushed him. Watch, she said. Mike started with simple commands. Sit, stay, come. Max obeyed perfectly each time, getting a treat and a pat. Then things got more complex. Mike hid the ball and had Max find it using only hand signals. He had Max bring specific objects from across the room. Throughout it all, Mike's voice stayed calm and kind. Good boy, Max. You're so smart. That's it. You've got it. The watching group was amazed. The bond between man and dog was clear. They moved like one being, understanding each other perfectly. Meanwhile, in space, alien observers watched in confusion. They reported back to Commander Zixnar. The humans are not preparing weapons, one said. Their champion appears to be playing with a furry creature. Zixnar frowned. It must be a trick. Keep watching. Back in the facility, Mike was now lying on his back. Max stood over him, play growling. To others, it might look scary. But Mike was laughing. See, Mike said to the watchers, Max could hurt me if he wanted. He's strong, but he chooses not to. That's trust. Sarah nodded, understanding. But others still looked unsure. As the day went on, Mike and Max showed more amazing teamwork. They did agility courses, solved puzzles, and even performed a mock rescue operation. By evening, even General Chen looked impressed. I still don't understand how this will defeat the alien weapon, he said, but it's remarkable. Sarah smiled. That's the point, General. The aliens won't understand either, and that's our advantage. As night fell, Mike and Max were given a room to rest. The facility was quiet, but tense. Tomorrow, they would face the alien challenge. In his room, Mike hugged Max tight. I don't know what's going to happen, buddy, he whispered. But we're in this together, right? Max licked Mike's face, tail wagging. No matter what alien beast they faced, their bond was unbreakable. Up in space, Commander Zixnar prepared his own weapon. He smiled, thinking victory was certain. But a small doubt nagged at him. What were these humans planning? The stage was set. In just a few hours, the fate of Earth would be decided. And it all rested on the shoulders of a man and his best friend. The day of the challenge arrived. The world held its breath. Alien ships hovered lower, their shadows darkening cities across the globe. In New York, a special arena had been set up in Central Park. It was surrounded by force fields, alien technology to keep everyone safe. Crowds gathered behind these invisible walls, scared but curious. Mike and Max arrived in a black van. Mike looked nervous, but Max wagged his tail, excited for a new adventure. Dr. Sarah Chen met them at the entrance. "Are you ready?" she asked softly. Mike nodded, patting Max's head. "As ready as we'll ever be." They walked into the arena. It was a large, circular space with grass and a few trees. In the center was a raised platform. Mike and Max stood on one side. The other side was empty, waiting for the alien champion. Above them, huge screens showed their images to the world. People in every country watched, holding their loved ones close. In living rooms and bars, humans hugged their pets, hoping. A loud hum filled the air. A beam of light appeared on the empty side of the platform. Commander Zixnar materialized, his blue skin shimmering. "Humans," his voice boomed. "You have chosen your champion. Now witness the might of the Galactic Alliance." He pressed a button on his wrist. Another, larger beam appeared. The ground shook. People gasped. A monster stepped out of the light. It was huge, at least 3 times Max's size. It had thick, scaly skin, 6 muscular legs, and a head full of sharp teeth. Its eyes glowed red. Mike's eyes widened. Max's ears went back, but he didn't run. He stood firmly by Mike's side. Zixnar smiled, showing pointed teeth. "This is the Cronus beast, the ultimate product of our genetic engineering. No creature has ever beaten it in combat." The crowd murmured in fear. How could a man and a dog face this monster? But then something unexpected happened. Mike didn't look scared. Instead, he looked sad. "What have they done to you, big guy?" he said softly, looking at the Cronus beast. The alien monster tilted its head, confused. It had expected fear or aggression. Not this. Mike turned to Zixnar. "Commander, may I approach your beast?" Zixnar laughed. "You wish to surrender up close? Very well." Sarah and the other leaders watched nervously as Mike slowly walked towards the Cronus beast. Max followed closely, alert but calm. The beast growled, showing its teeth, but Mike didn't flinch. He stopped a few feet away and sat down on the grass. Max sat next to him. "Hey there," Mike said gently. "That's a good boy. You're a big fella, aren't you?" The Cronus beast blinked. It had never heard this tone before. Slowly, its growl faded. Mike reached into his pocket and pulled out a tennis ball. The beast's eyes followed it curiously. "You want to play?" Mike asked, smiling. He rolled the ball gently. It stopped at the beast's feet. The creature looked at it, then at Mike, then back at the ball. Slowly, it nudged the ball with its nose. The crowd watched in amazement. Zixnar's smile faded, replaced by a look of confusion. Mike laughed softly. "Good boy. Bring it here." To everyone's shock, the Cronus beast picked up the ball in its mouth and brought it back to Mike. Its tail, a spiked thing that looked designed for battle, gave a small wag. Mike grinned and threw the ball again. This time, Max ran after it too. The dog and the beast reached the ball at the same time. But instead of fighting, they looked at each other, tails wagging. Max gave a playful bark. The Cronus beast made a sound that was almost a purr. Soon, the unbelievable was happening. Mike, Max, and the alien beast were playing together in the grass. The beast rolled over, letting Mike rub its scaly belly. Max licked its face, and the beast nuzzled him back. The world watched in awe. Zixnar's jaw dropped. This was not how the challenge was supposed to go. Sarah smiled, tears in her eyes. "This," she said loudly, "is humanity's true strength. Not the ability to fight, but the power to love, even those different from us." As the sun set over New York, the image was clear. Earth's champion wasn't just Mike, or even Max. It was the bond between them, a force strong enough to tame even the fiercest beast in the galaxy. The challenge wasn't over, but the tide had turned. Humanity had revealed its secret weapon, and the universe would never be the same. The world watched in stunned silence. In Central Park, a man, a dog, and a terrifying alien beast were playing fetch. It was a sight no one had expected, least of all Commander Zixnar. The blue-skinned alien's face twisted in confusion. This wasn't how battles were supposed to go. He stomped onto the platform, his voice booming across the arena. "What is the meaning of this?" Zixnar demanded. "This is meant to be a test of strength, not whatever this is." Mike stood up slowly, patting the Cronus beast's scaly head. Max sat alertly by his side. "With all due respect, Commander," Mike said calmly, "this is strength. It's just not the kind you're used to." Zixnar's eyes narrowed. "Explain yourself, human." Mike took a deep breath. He looked at Max, then at the Cronus beast, which was now sitting peacefully, its tail thumping gently on the grass. "Where I come from," Mike began, "true strength isn't about who can fight the hardest. It's about who can love the most, who can form bonds, even with those who seem different or scary at first." As Mike spoke, screens around the world showed images from his life. Mike as a child, rescuing a stray kitten. Mike as a teenager, volunteering at an animal shelter. Mike as an adult, working patiently with scared and aggressive dogs, helping them trust again. "Your beast here," Mike continued, gesturing to the Cronus beast. "It's powerful, yes, but it's also lonely, scared. It's never known kindness or friendship. That's not strength. That's a tragedy." The Cronus beast made a soft, whimpering sound, as if understanding Mike's words. It nuzzled against his hand, seeking comfort. Zixnar watched, his anger slowly turning to curiosity. "But how?" "Our scientists engineered it to be the perfect warrior, to obey only our commands." Mike smiled sadly. "You can't engineer a soul, Commander. Every living thing needs love, needs connection, even the fiercest creatures." As if to prove his point, Max trotted over to the Cronus beast. The dog was tiny compared to the alien creature, but he showed no fear. Max wagged his tail and gave a friendly bark. To everyone's amazement, the Cronus beast wagged its own spiked tail in return. Dr. Sarah Chen stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "This is what we tried to tell you, Commander. Humanity's strength lies in our capacity for empathy, for forming bonds that cross all boundaries, even, it seems, interstellar ones." The crowd began to murmur, then to cheer. Around the world, people hugged their pets tighter, tears in their eyes. They were witnessing something profound, a moment that would change the course of human history. Zixnar was silent for a long moment. He looked at Mike, at Max, at the now docile Cronus beast. Finally, he spoke, his voice softer than before. "In all our travels across the galaxy," he said, "we have never encountered anything like this. We thought Earth would be an easy conquest, but now I see. We have much to learn from you." Mike nodded, relief washing over his face. "We'd be happy to teach you," he said, "and to learn from you too. That's another human strength, curiosity, the desire to understand others." As the sun began to set over New York, casting a golden glow over the scene, something remarkable happened. The Cronus beast, this fearsome creature engineered for war, curled up on the grass. Max snuggled against its side, and Mike sat with them, gently petting both animals. Zixnar watched, a look of wonder on his alien face. Slowly, hesitantly, he walked over and sat down next to Mike. "Perhaps," he said quietly, "you could show me how to pet them." Mike grinned and guided Zixnar's hand to the Cronus beast's scaly back. The creature rumbled happily at the touch. As night fell, the image was broadcast across Earth and to the stars beyond. A human, a dog, an alien, and a once fearsome beast, all sitting together peacefully. It was more than just the end of a potential war. It was the beginning of a new era for both Earth and the galaxy. In living rooms and spaceships alike, the message was clear. The universe had just gotten a little bit smaller and a whole lot kinder. As the world watched in awe, the scene in Central Park continued to unfold like a beautiful dream. Mike, Max, the Cronus Beast, and Commander Zixnar sat together on the grass, an unlikely group united by a simple act of kindness. Dr. Sarah Chen approached cautiously, her eyes wide with wonder. "Commander Zixnar," she said softly, "I believe we have much to discuss." Zixnar looked up, his alien features softer than before. "Indeed, Dr. Chen. It seems we have miscalculated in our assessment of Earth." As they began to talk, the screens around the world split. One side showed the peaceful scene in the park. The other began to show a series of images, telling a story that would touch hearts across the galaxy. The first image was of a young Mike, no more than 7 years old. He was sitting in a shelter, cradling a tiny, scared puppy. The puppy was Max, much smaller and thinner than he was now. Max was going to be put down, Mike's voice narrated. He was too scared of people. No one wanted him. But I saw something in his eyes. He wasn't mean. He was just afraid. The images change, showing Mike and Max growing up together. Mike patiently teaching Max to trust, to play, to be a friend. There were moments of frustration, of setbacks, but always, always, there was love. "It wasn't easy," Mike continued. "There were times I thought about giving up. But that's not what friends do. Friends stick together, no matter what." The Cronus Beast watched the images intently, making soft sounds of interest. Max wagged his tail, recognizing himself on the screen. Zixnar's eyes never left the display, his expression a mix of confusion and growing understanding. The story continued, showing Mike's work with other animals. Dogs, cats, even a rescued horse. Each time, the pattern was the same: patience, kindness, and an unshakable belief in the power of love. "Every animal has a story," Mike said, "just like every person does. And every alien too, I bet. We're all just looking for someone to understand us, to care about us." As he spoke, the Cronus Beast gently laid its massive head in Mike's lap. Mike scratched behind its ears, earning a contented rumble that sounded almost like a purr. Zixnar shook his head in amazement. "In all our years of genetic engineering, we never considered this. We thought strength came from aggression, from dominance." Sarah smiled. "That's a very human mistake too, Commander. We've had to learn this lesson many times in our history, but we keep learning, keep growing. That's another strength of ours." As night fell, the park was lit by the soft glow of the alien ships overhead. But now, they no longer seemed threatening. Instead, they twinkled like stars, a promise of new friendships and adventures to come. Families in the watching crowd began to relax. Children pointed excitedly at the Cronus Beast, no longer scared but curious. Some even asked their parents if they could have one as a pet, earning nervous laughs in response. In homes around the world, people hugged their pets closer. Shelters reported a surge of calls from people wanting to adopt animals, inspired by Mike's story. The power of companionship was spreading, touching hearts everywhere. Up in the alien ships, confusion reigned. Warriors trained for battle found themselves questioning everything they knew. Some even snuck looks at the small Earth animals they had brought along as food, seeing them in a new light. As the night wore on, Mike, Max, and the Cronus Beast curled up together, exhausted but happy. Zixnar and Sarah sat nearby, deep in conversation about the future. "We came here looking for a war," Zixnar said quietly. "Instead, we found a family." Sarah nodded. "That's humanity at its best, Commander. We're not perfect, far from it. But at our core, we believe in the power of love to change the world, or even the galaxy." As they talked, a shooting star streaked across the sky. In that moment, it seemed like anything was possible. A new chapter was beginning, not just for Earth, but for the entire universe. The beast had been unleashed, but it wasn't the one anyone expected. Instead, it was the unstoppable force of compassion, ready to reshape the stars themselves. The sun rose over New York City, painting the sky in soft pinks and golds. But this sunrise was like no other in Earth's history. Alien ships glittered in the morning light, no longer a threat, but a promise of new beginnings. In Central Park, Mike woke up with a yawn. Max was curled up against his side, and the Cronus beast's huge form provided a warm, scaly pillow. Nearby, Dr. Sarah Chen and Commander Zixnar were deep in conversation, their voices low and excited. As Mike sat up, rubbing his eyes, he saw crowds gathering at the edge of the park. People pointed and whispered, their faces a mix of awe and hope. News cameras rolled, broadcasting the scene around the world. Zixnar noticed Mike was awake and walked over, his blue skin shimmering in the sunlight. "Good morning, Mike of Earth," he said, his voice gentler than before. "We have much to discuss." Over the next few hours, as the world watched breathlessly, a new chapter in human history unfolded. Zixnar, speaking for the Galactic Alliance, officially recognized Earth as a planet of unique value. "We came seeking warriors," Zixnar announced to the cameras. "Instead, we found teachers. The people of Earth have shown us a kind of strength we never knew existed." Sarah stepped forward, her voice clear and strong. "And we have much to learn from you as well, Commander. This is a chance for both our peoples to grow, to explore the galaxy together as friends." As they spoke, something amazing happened. All around the world, the alien ships began to land. But instead of armies, they brought scientists, artists, and explorers, all eager to learn about Earth and its inhabitants. In New York, a group of alien children cautiously approached the Cronus beast. Their eyes were wide with a mix of fear and curiosity. Mike smiled and waved them over. "It's okay," he said gently. "He's friendly. Would you like to pet him?" The alien kids looked at their parents, who nodded encouragingly. Slowly, they reached out to touch the beast's scaly hide. The Cronus beast rumbled happily, its tail wagging like an oversized dog. Max, always the friendly one, trotted over to the alien kids. He sat down and offered his paw, just like Mike had taught him. After a moment of surprise, one of the alien children reached out and shook Max's paw, giggling at the strange Earth custom. As the day went on, more incredible scenes played out across the globe. In Tokyo, alien chefs sampled sushi for the first time, their faces lighting up at the new flavors. In Rio de Janeiro, humans and aliens danced together at an impromptu street party. In Cairo, alien archaeologists marveled at the pyramids, eager to learn Earth's rich history. But perhaps the most touching scenes were the simplest. In parks and backyards around the world, humans introduced their alien visitors to their pets. Dogs, cats, hamsters, and more became Earth's unofficial ambassadors, breaking down barriers with wagging tails and gentle purrs. As evening fell, Mike found himself in a meeting with world leaders and alien diplomats. The Cronus beast, now nicknamed Buddy by the internet, lounged nearby, with Max napping on top of him. "We want you to be Earth's official ambassador to the Galactic Alliance," the president said to Mike. "Your understanding of companionship, your ability to connect with different species, it's exactly what we need." Mike looked surprised, then thoughtful. He glanced at Max and Buddy, then back at the leaders. "I'd be honored," he said, "but only if my friends can come too. We're a package deal." Everyone laughed, the sound of human and alien joy mingling in the air. It was a new day for Earth and for the entire galaxy. As night fell once again, families around the world looked up at the stars with new wonder. Parents told their children stories of the day the aliens came, not with war, but with friendship. And in millions of homes, people hugged their pets a little tighter, thankful for the bonds that had saved the world. In the years to come, Earth would face new challenges and adventures as it joined the galactic community, but it would face them with new friends by its side, guided by the simple, powerful truth that Mike and Max had shown the universe. Love, compassion, and understanding were the greatest forces in any galaxy. The beast had been unleashed, but it was the beast of human kindness, and it would change the universe forever.